Hello, Sharon Schultz here, also known as the Bay Lady. If you are new to my tours, I am known as the Bay Lady because I live and play around the Chesapeake Bay area of Maryland. And I love showing off my favorite places and favorite things to do here, of which we have many of both, actually. So you can best way to keep up with me and not miss any tours would be to like my pages and subscribe to my channels. You can find me on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm there, Sharon Schultz, the Bay Lady. I am also on Together Virtually, the new website that was created for and by ex-Hago tour guides. And what else? Oh, Twitter and so forth. Anyway, um, my pages all have links to different tours, and that's where I make my tour announcements. That's also where you can donate to my platform if you choose to. Tips are accepted at Buy Me a Coffee. It's a pretty cool little platform there and suits me fine because I love my coffee. So, all right. Well, without any further ado, behind me you probably see the old mill there. That is what Ellicott City is named after. Once upon a time, initially, originally, it was called Mills. Hang on one second. I'm going to turn the camera so that you can see all these really great things I'm going to show you. All right, not the parking lot. That wasn't included in this tour. All right. So you might wonder where we are. I told you Ellicott City. Ellicott City proper is in Howard County, Maryland. We are in Baltimore County, Maryland at the moment. We're right across the street from Ellicott City. We are at the Charlie Stop. Okay, if you look right, here's this the trolley stop. Once upon a time, when it was built in the early 1800s, it was an inn. It's been an inn and a pub, tavern, whatever you want to call it, for a very, very long time. But in its day, in early, no, late 1800, 1890s, um, the trolley was built. The tracks were laid and the trolley was built. And that became a real boom here for the trolley stop tavern, right? Obviously. And so for years, the passengers could board the train right here. And there's the entrance coming out of the hotel, right? Up the steps, and here's the train. Now you're looking at the old bridge. This is the old trestle bridge. The train actually, or the trolley, it was electric and it went from Baltimore, Catonsville, all the way through Ellicott City and Frederick. So looking this way is looking towards Frederick. We're on the Catonsville side. But the trolley would go over the tracks, the trestle that was built on top of these blocks. And there were tracks that ran down Main Street, which is dead ahead. We'll get there in a while. And so it was a booming thing. It cost a nickel to ride. And it lasted probably, I think the last trolley ran in 1957. And then by then the railroad was really, kicking butt and a lot of people had cars and, they weren't so much about this old, nice, slow form of transportation, even in the 1950s, people was starting to have places to go and people to see yesterday. So, all right, looking ahead is the old Ellicott Mills factory. Now, there were these three brothers, okay, the Ellicott brothers, and they are from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. That's pretty much Amish country, and they definitely had some Quaker influences here. So the three brothers wanted to bring mills, bring textiles to the area, and they thought that they had found the perfect spot here. Okay. Just a couple things that you need to successfully run a mill. The biggest of that being a source of power, a water source, where they convert the water into power. The two, water and power, are as one. So they discovered the river here was a mighty river, pretty powerful in its own right. So this is where they chose to build their mill. And people came from far and wide for the jobs that were offered here and for the advantages and the homesteading and the idea of earning money for their families. This is a very old area. You can see the stone houses up the street there. They've been standing for a while. It's a very hilly area as well. Ellicott City is actually surrounded by 7 hills, 7 pretty big hills. And so it lies in the valley between these hills. And at the very bottom of the valley, between the hills, is the Patapsco River. Now, this mighty river flows out into the Chesapeake Bay, which in turn flows out to the Atlantic Ocean. This river runs a good portion of the state throughout most of this county for sure. Kind of quiet today. Not always the case. Now you can see that there's homes and like the factory and all around along the river. Um, this river has flooded to fatal levels throughout the years. We're talking going back several hundred years, actually, um, and for various reasons. So, with the power to make life good, also comes the power to take it away. And so that is unfortunately the story of here from the very first days, from day one. And it's kind of interesting that the place really is still standing, but it is. And so it's just steaming with history. Okay, so they the mill town began to grow. We're going to go walk over to it in a second here. The mill town did begin to grow. Over the years, people came and settled here, and they knew prosperity. Now, the hills that I mentioned, those 7 hills, the hills are granite. I mean, like rock, like granite, like going nowhere rock, right? And it's apparently a specific strain of granite that they can only find here in Ellicott City. So, if you notice the house back there that I told you is made of stone, and this house here is made of stone. In fact, this is one of the original Ellicott Brothers homes, except it wasn't there. They moved it. The Ellicott brothers built their homes about where I'm standing. At the time, I guess the river was channeled differently, not sure, but due to, uh, again, flood, the Patapsco River flooding this area, the other two Ellicott homes were lost. This one survived. Now, if you look up above it, right up there, that's called Angelo's Castle. Rumor has it there's a ghost in there who only likes artists because he was an artist himself once. And it's a rooming house, a boarding house, whatever you want to call it, still is. And anyway, so supposedly, if a new boarder came in and wasn't artistic, the ghost would knock them down the stairs to the cellar, which was more like a dungeon, if you can imagine. And out that back door right there, that's kind of curved like a chapel. Actually, the roof's in the shape of a cross, but trust me, it's no chapel. And anyway, the ghost would kick them out that door and they would fall down the cliff to the river and they're dead. Lovely, lovely ghost, right? They say it's the spirit of the man who built the castle, Angelo's Castle. Here we are coming into Ellicott City. Now, this poor area has had its share of gloom and doom from the very beginning of the town when they were building the structures and the houses to modern day today. There's a sad story that took place right here, maybe 5 years ago. I'm not sure if the year escapes me, but recent times. And right up here were two young ladies, 19 years old. And it was late at night, the wee hours, 1, 2 o'clock, something like that. And these two young ladies were sitting right up there above the sign with their feet dangling off the side here and just kind of sitting up there and talking like young women do and kind of dangling their feet. Oh, and they were taking selfies too of themselves sitting up there. And they were just really enjoying a nice warm night. But things happen, especially in Ellicott City. So who would have thought that these two young ladies sitting up there would, gosh, how do I put this? Okay, would be struck by an overturned freight train full of coal. It overturned right here, killed the girls, spilled coal all over this whole area. They were crushed. Somehow, right in that spot, the train derailed and dumped its cargo, and it happened to be a carload of coal. So that's been a few years ago. I haven't seen anything official. I haven't really um, heard anything official, but I have heard from a person who heard it from another person who heard it from another person that they can be seen sitting up there with their feet dangling, giggling. So, yeah. Other things that happened here have to do with the rain, and I think I'll get to that at the end. This here used to be an old hotel. Okay. And it too had a stop. There's the train station, Ellicott Mills. As a matter of fact, if nobody's looking once these cars pass, I'll take a little trip up here. Doesn't say I can't. So we'll just take a peek and I can show you down below look at that. That's not very good. Huh, guess I won't rely on this for oh, wow, look at this. Okay. This is not good. All right. It's all right. We'll do quickly. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I didn't do that. Okay. All right. So, see, here we are. And there's the station. Right. There's the station. So passengers could come out that door, right? And maybe there's another one around the corner. And they could, oh, look at that view of Angela's castle. Oh, you probably can't see it as well as I because I can't zoom. All right, let's get down these stairs here. We're getting in trouble. And maybe this right here was an old hotel. There were two. Um, one right here and another halfway up the block. There seems to be some confusion among the historians as to which is what and what is which. Um, but that's not unusual. We'll go for the plaque here. They're talking about a mile marker. Hello. They're talking here about a mile marker. They mark the parts of the turnpike that they were building, the National Turnpike, it's called, which is Route 40 here. Okay, so the the railroad station, and you know that has a lot of activity for sure. We'll go across and take a walk over there. A lot of traffic for an afternoon, huh? Look at these cool stores. These shops are very eclectic. You won't find, Baskin Robbins. You'll find Bubbles' ice cream or creamery or whatever. These are all individually owned. They're not chains. They're local entrepreneurs who have set shop here in Ellicott City. One of my favorite stores over there is the Forget Me Not. That's what it's called now. Okay. Okay, so about the railroad station. Okay, got a couple stories for you. All right, well, first of all, this is the oldest railroad station in America, the oldest in the nation, and it was the first one. This was the very first railroad station to be built in this country. It was started in Baltimore. They began constructing the engines, the locomotives, and all of that. They were built in Baltimore. And as they were doing that, of course, they were laying track. Well, between that train station, Mount Clair in Baltimore, and here in Ellicott City, is the first 13 miles of track. For a while, it's all they had. So you could imagine the popularity of train travel. I mean, this train totally took away the need for a trolley. It didn't help the trolley situation. The trains were running they started running from the 1840s. So this train would be here, it would make stops going back to Catonsville and then into Baltimore, the first 13 miles. And of course, this railroad was very, very, very instrumental during the Civil War. They were able to transport troops here and there. This was Union territory. Okay. We were under the federal government. Maryland was captured at the very beginning of the Civil War. captured by President by Lincoln and his armies because they needed to secure the other side of Washington D.C. Keep in mind that the Confederacy was located in Richmond, Virginia, on the other side of DC. So if the Confederacy had gotten to, um, if they had gotten to Maryland first, then DC would have been totally cut off and the war lost, literally. So this really saved. So this is a museum, and inside they have the station master's quarters and the office and telegraph room and all of that. It's a really nice little museum. Doesn't cost anything, and it's interesting. It's nice. So about stories, I got two of them for you here. Um, the first one, there was a flood here in 1868, which was very, very, very devastating. Um, it it killed 36 people right on the other side of the station, right in the area where we just walked, where I said that the Ellicott brothers' houses were until they were destroyed by a flood. Well, after that, they built a whole row of new houses. They were trying to entice people to work, to come here, to live, to work in the mills and all that went with it. And so they, um, had nice houses. Well, there was a horrific storm, one that came out of nowhere, literally came out of nowhere. The sky got so dark that all these merchants here, well, it wasn't these merchants, but all the merchants that occupied these buildings in 1868 closed up shop and went home. Okay, that was so much of a horrific storm that was coming their way. So the sky got darker and darker, and it here came the rain, and they got some outrageous amount of feet of rain in a very short amount of time. It wasn't measured in inches, it was feet. In fact, the river rose 25 feet. But before it did that, it brought with it a wall of destruction. The Ellicott Mill wasn't the only mill that existed on this river. Okay? A little bit down to the right, I mean, to my left, to the left of where you're looking, there is a mill called Oella. And there's a little community up in the hills there that surrounds it. And then down to the right, there was another mill, native granite, that serviced the area near Catonsville, over down by there's a railroad viaduct there. So when this rain started coming downhill, when the result of it, the flood started upriver, right, and became so powerful that it took out the mill, the concrete mill with its 20-foot thick walls. Okay, it destroyed it so bad was the force. And when that debris started flowing into Ellicott City, it took down that row of homes, took them down, gone, pulverized. Now, up here, there's a hill over here behind these buildings, and there is a hill over here, the two nearby hills, and there's one across the way. Anyway, the the people that had closed up shop took to the hills to watch. And when they saw what was going on, they, they were like watching a nightmare. As it turned out, one of the people on top of the hill watching was a doctor who had come over here despite the weather warnings because he had a patient to see. Well, things started getting real bad, and this fellow townspeople urged him to go up the hill. Well, he was up the hill and they had a clear view of that row of homes. And he watched in horror as one after another townhome crumpled, crumpled like cardboard, one after another. And so the people in the homes, they didn't have a chance to get away. So they had all climbed to the roofs, including this doctor's family. His wife and children and their servants and their servants' family ended up on the roof of their home. They punched uh, the the father of the servant family punched a hole, in the roof so they could all get up there. And then as the other houses were falling down like dominoes, people were jumping from roof to roof. And so it's said that when that last house went with the doctor's family, there were like 17 people on the roof, men, women, and children washed away in the flood and the debris. They said it was all they could do to keep the doctor from diving in the window, diving in after his family. He was yelling to them the whole time, get higher, get higher. But nobody foresaw that they would be crumbled. 38 people died that day. And one of them, well, as I said, there were uh, women and children. So one story about the railroad station that has to do with the flood. One night, an employee who worked here, actually, this used to be the Phoenix Emporium. They moved up the street. They gave up. This building has been flooded more times than anyone can even imagine. You have to do a lot of counting there to figure that one out. And so, anyway, the employee was across the street taking a break. You see, they got picnic tables and areas to sit. They must have always done that. And so a little boy came up to him, or he saw a little boy. Little boy looked lost. He asked the little boy if he could, help him. Little boy said, yeah. You know, um, he asked, where's your mommy? And little boy pointed, to the station. And so the guy was like, well, there's nobody here. Come on with me. I'll take you across the street to my work and we'll find your mommy for you halfway. And so the little boy took his hand and halfway across the street right here, poof, gone. Little boy was gone. Figured looking for mommy, after the flood. Same up here. There's um there's a couple of little girl ghosts, I'm told, in this blue building. It used to be livery stables. Now it's the antique depot, which it's been for quite a while. So, yeah. But it is said that at night, after everybody goes home, people walking by can see, little glows in the window. They've been described as shadows, as blue orbs. But two little girls, oh, just giggling away and never to be seen, but to be heard and felt and maybe glanced at primarily, right? Look at that, cool stuff. So, This building actually, along with the Emporium here, the Emporium at the time was a not it wasn't the Emporium. It was a furniture store. They made furniture. So when the flood happened, they needed a place to take the bodies that they had recovered. So they took them here and had, like I said, this was stables and livery. So they had them laid out there for, family or whoever to come and identify them. And over here on the corner, they their furniture making turned to coffin making. So they were making caskets at right after the funeral. I mean, right after the flood to help with the um, disposal of those bodies. So another another let's see, which one should I do? Okay, well, for this one, there's another ghost here in this building that doesn't really have to do with the flood. Back when they were building it, in the very beginning, before this building was even occupied, when it was under construction, there had been an accident, and a worker fell and was killed. And so people have heard um, different sounds and things in the building at different times. Like it used to be a restaurant, and they would hear like hammer, like a sound like hammering, like someone is, was hammering nails or banging, and they attribute it to the guy that lost his life uh, doing the building, making the building. One more story about the railroad station. This is a cool one. Um, they were doing reenactments, Civil War stuff. So they had a bunch of Civil War reenactors, dressed in the uniforms and costumes. As I said, this was heavy, heavy Union territory here. Ellicott City even had its own army force, the Patapsco Guard, which I'll get back to in a second. But anyway, the one of the reenactors, they were spending the night there, and there were a bunch of reenactors gathered together out here. And so one walked off to smoke a cigarette a little bit away from the gang there. And as he was smoking his cigarette, another reenactor came up to him and started talking to him, and um, he had like a dog with him. And so, he talked to them. And then as they walked away, the soldier, the reenactor, looked at them. And the young guy had become an old man. And the dog had become old as they faded off into the sunset. So that was a pretty cool one for sure. Okay, this building here, oh man, that shop is one of my favorites. They have so many cool things in here. And this building is just incredible if you look at it. It's the tallest one in Ellicott City. It's got 5 stories. And it served as the headquarters for the Patapsco Guard. In fact, up on the very top, it was like a big open area or they cleared it to a big open area, and they had Confederate prisoners of war in their custody, and so that's where they kept them up on that top floor, kind of isolated, of course, and secure. But unfortunately, at the time, at that part, 1864, that winter was particularly harsh, and dysentery ran rampant through the guards, through the army, through Ellicott City. So, with so many people being in one confined area up there, many of those Confederate prisoners died from dysentery, typhoid, whatever those fatal diseases were that swept through places at the time. So, legend has it, the tenants say that they hear things scraping along the floor up there, on the ceiling. They're below, they hear it on the ceiling from up there. Things are moving around, things going bump, 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 and things like that. One of the stories about this building also took place during the Civil War. I have to get across the street here, then let me. This also took place during the Civil War. There was a Confederate soldier who had been captured, along with several others, and they were being held in Catonsville by the Union troops that were stationed along the Thomas Viaduct, which crossed over the Tapsco River. Well, this one guy escaped, and he thought that if he, kept on following the tracks, it would take him south. He didn't know it ended here, right? So anyway, he escaped. He ran, he followed the tracks. He hit the dead end that was Ellicott City, and in a panic, didn't know what to do because, as I said, Ellicott City was the home of the Patapsco Guard, and they were quartered right here. Okay, so the Confederate soldier comes. Oh, good, the lights been changed. The Confederate soldier comes across and decides he's going to hide in the hotel here, not knowing again that the Union soldiers were there. So, see those long steps up there? Okay, well, what happened was that poor young Confederate boy, um, he went he went into the hotel, and as soon as he got in the door up there, he saw the soldiers, and of course they saw him. So he bolted out this door, and the soldiers were up on top, and they yelled, "Hold, hold, hold," like that. And he didn't, and so they shot him. They shot him in the back. He was dead before he hit the ground. And so the tale goes on to say that on dark, moonless nights, you can see the Confederate soldier come tumbling down the stairs and land at the bottom. It's like a ghostly movie being played over and over and over. And believe it or not, there's a reason for this. Okay. Going back to the river, to the Patapsco, and all the power and how important it was, this granite, this special granite that's used in most buildings here in Ellicott City, has properties that paranormal experts say that the granite absorbs the memories. It absorbs the light, the scenes, and it keeps it and it plays it. And that's one of the reasons they say that Ellicott City is one of the most active paranormal communities. I've read experts call it the most haunted place in Maryland. I've heard it the most haunted place on the East Coast. And also, I've heard that it's one of the most haunted places in um, in the U.S. Okay, here's a little thing about the Old Stone Tavern House, Wayside Inn. Okay, this building has had many important uses, such as the old Patapsco Hotel, Granite Manufacturing, Town Hall, Opera House, Provost Marshal's office, and newspaper, Oddfellows, all kinds of things. This building has did many things, but I think the longest it's been is right here. Forget Me Not since the 1980s. This is such a cool little store. Very cool little trippy store. Something else that I hadn't mentioned about the granite is that many of the houses are built into those seven hills, built right into the granite. And this is one. I don't think you can really see it, but that back wall is stone. You can't see it, the reflection. But yeah, it's built right into the hill. There's stone all behind it. Okay, let's see. What other stories can I tell? What other buildings do we? Oh, okay. Oh, the sun. I do not like the sun in my eyes. It's probably in your eyes too, then, right? All right, let me stand in the shade then for this one. Okay, Eastern Suns. Okay, Eastern Suns used to be one of four funeral homes on this street. Four funeral homes on Main Street. Four in a little town this size. Okay. Well, with all the death that happens here, it's no wonder. It's been said that there was um, boy who was kind of sensitive to other things, and she sensed a ghost. She saw a ghost. I guess some of the other employees must have seen it too. But she was a woman and she was standing out front here waving people in. Come on in. This is the place. Come on in. Crazy, right? So anyway, this a woman decided to confront the ghost and told her, "Go ahead, you can go home. It's all good now." And never seen again. Okay, so crazy, right? Um, this area, yeah, I can't. I don't think I can get over to the sidewalk. I have that all closed. um, the river, there's a small river. Oh, I can get over there. See if I can get over there without getting hit. The traffic never ending. Never, never, never. Oh, come on, guys. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Right. There we go. Okay. This is Tiber Park, also known as Tiber Alley. Oh, evidently, they're doing some shoring up back here. All right. The other problem with Ellicott City and their flooding issues, right here. Okay, look. There's Main Street. There's the funeral home, and there's the Tiber River. Okay. Here's the Tiber River. It runs under, right? It runs under these houses, and it does it all the way up to the very top of the hill at the other end of Main Street. And so the last two floods that happened here, let's see, the last two. One was in 2016, and the other was in 2018. I hear tell it was 666 days later between floods. And two people died in one of those floods. Oh gosh, I don't remember which, but a woman got swept away and a guy jumped in to save her, and neither of them made it. So, still today there's disasters going on here more than is humanly possible to handle, right? Okay, let's see. There's a couple more things that I want to show you. At least two more buildings. Oh, I can get to them. I do not like how they have this set up. There should be a walkway here. There really should. Okay, dude, you move over because I'm coming this way. Woo. Da, 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 da. Okay, yeah, there's two more. Oh, three more. Right here. Ooh, this is pretty too. Isn't this gorgeous? Look at the houses going on up the hill. Everything is in layers. Oh, they took that building down. Oh, wow. Yeah, look, there's nothing left except the front. Wow. And here again, look at this. And look how wide this is. Does it need to be this wide? Does this babbling brook here really need all this space? You're darn tootin' it does. Okay, here. There was tales of a murder that took place here. This was a butcher shop at the time. And so the employees were working here and they were um, um, painting, they were redoing it, and they were painting it, and they would come back in and the next day and there would be like paint splashed on the wall or whatever, something, someone was tampering, they thought, but they they couldn't find any evidence of anybody or anything. So finally, they called someone in. I guess the paranormal people have been all over Ellicott City, right? Anyway, they called someone in, and so they assessed that when it had been a butcher shop, a young woman had been murdered and hung up with the um, in the meat locker. So, and they assume that that is her, still making her presence known today or for until this closed down again. The last flood really did a number on these guys. I mean, really, they're still reeling from 2018. And then in the 1980s or 90s, they had a horrific fire that took out the center of this side of the street. Very sad. Okay, so I am looking for the odd fellow. Well, actually, I think we get to one of these first. Oh, Ellicott City is getting a bit busy at the moment. Getting to be the end of the day, right? Last minute rushes. These buildings are so pretty. You see the New Orleans influence with some of the wrought iron on several of the buildings, really. Okay, so across the street, that big old stone building there, that is the Odd Fellows Lodge. It has been the Odd Fellows Lodge for decades, maybe centuries. Anyway, a few years back, this young man, young gentleman, was the son of one of the members of the Odd Fellows, and he was wanting to join and waiting for his initiation. He, was really thrilled and, couldn't believe how cool that was. And so he, he, it was his job to set up the meeting room for the meetings that they had. They had, I guess it was weekly meetings. So it was his job, to set out the chairs and the tables and all that. And then when the meeting was over, he would always take them away. Now, I say it was his job, but it was the job that he gave himself. It was volunteer. He just took it on. So one night, he was out on the road, I guess coming back from work, and he was headed here for the meeting to set up the room. And he was in a car crash ahead of him, and he was killed. So the meeting didn't happen that night, obviously. So the members, in respect for his passing, decided to postpone the following meeting, which would be the next meeting. Um, postpone it in his honor or what have you, in respect. But then his father told them, no, you know what? He would rather, be here, have the meeting. He wouldn't want you not to have the meeting. You know how much he enjoyed it. So anyway, they agreed to do that. And then they were going to come early and set everything up. So when the guy's dad and a couple of his fellow members got there to set it up, it was already done. No one in sight. No one had been in the building, but it was done. Okay. Sounds like their missing member found his way home. Right here, this little house has a very, very tragic story to it. Back in that year, 1864, during the Civil War, when typhoid and dysentery and whatever else was running rampant through this area, it was in town as well. They had, a lot of soldiers in and out and prisoners, so there was nothing to stop, the spread of disease. Well, here lived a family, a couple, a mom and a dad, with their three little kids. And they, were happy. They lived here. Everything was cool. And then the children got sick. They caught the disease. And so their mom, consigned them to their bedrooms and nursed them, stayed with them day and night and nursed them. But unfortunately, all three children died. It was a little girl and a little boy and a little baby. Anyway, so people walking by here at night, right, have said that when they look when they walk by, they can see in the windows these little blue lights, these like round orbs, little blue orbs of light, three of them, one for each child. And they say that if you watch the orbs, you see them go up towards the stairs and disappear through the ceiling, going to their bedroom. That's where their bedroom. Sad story. Yeah. Well, I think that's all I got for you. This is the beginning of the Ellicott City tours. I have several because, as you can see, look, we just got this far. There's all that up that hill, and there's some up that hill, and there's another hill up that way. And anyway, and look, here's more stairs. Everything is built into hills. It's just amazing, the architecture and the design of the city. And then you have the water and the granite and all these people who have enjoyed life so much here, they don't want to leave, right? Oh, look at this. These antique toys. Speaking of little kids, look at the dolls. I love dolls. Ooh, Little Women. That's a classic. I wonder if they've removed that from the schools yet. Most of the classics seem to be Do not read list. Go figure. Oh, I should cross the street here. Sun running at the sidewalk again. Can I do it? Dare I do it? No, I don't dare. Okay, so I've got the Haunted Ellicott City Ghost Tour number 2 coming up next Tuesday. And the following Tuesday is number 3. Those are the 3 main tours. And then there's one that I do strictly on the there's one that I do that's strictly on top of the hill over there on Mount Misery. It's about the Female Institute, the Patapsco Female Institute, which was an outstanding school for its day, a very elite boarding school for young Southern belles to learn all kinds of amazing things. So, and then after that, there's my zombie snowmen. There's a couple of there's a couple of books out, Zombie Snowmen of Ellicott City. They're written by some local guys, and so the tour consists of uh, reading some of their highly imaginative content in these books, all about Ellicott City, right? Yeah, they tore it. Oh my gosh, they totally took that down. Wow, wow. There's another little area that goes up the hill. Way up on top of the hill is the courthouse. And I used to work there once upon a time. Let's see, camera settings. I used to work there very long time ago. And hang on, I'm putting the camera back. Here I am. I used to work there at the courthouse. And of course, that's on the list of places with paranormal activity, as I can attest. But anyway, all these little stair things, boy, I knew them all by heart. You had an hour for lunch, and you had all these cool little shops, little places down here, and everybody and their brother, out to lunch at the same time. So the faster you could get down here, the better. So we knew all the shortcuts, right? We didn't have to walk around down by the street. Heck no, we knew about all the steps and alleyways. It was fun. It was an interesting place to work. I enjoyed it very much. And so, all right, well, this is where, oh, it's working. This is where I say goodbye and go on about the rest of my day, I suppose. Don't even know what time it is yet. Let me go stand right over here at my favorite little store. Let's see, can you see the stone walls? Oh no, going the wrong way. Never mind. Okay, so day lady here. Gonna say goodbye. Weekend's coming. Enjoy it. Stay safe and talk soon. Bye.